Oh boy. Okay. I have been sitting in this chair for the past 20 minutes because I've been procrastinating doing this for so long. Um, it's very hard for me to I don't feel like people understand how actually taxing it is to sit. I have said this exact words: sit in front of a camera and just talk for an hour, like getting topics ready. My brain does not fixate on things well enough. I will be talking, and as I'm talking, will forget what I'm talking about, which isn't abnormal, but it's really bad. Um, which is why I lose my train of thought so often, and why it's hard for me to I think it's really funny when I pick a topic for the podcast, knowing full well that I'm not going to revolve around that topic all that much. And with that being said, the topic for today's episode is going to be Kate and I were talking the other day about how this year has very much been healing your inner child. That has been something that's been on my mind for so long, and I think that ties into the second puberty thing that I've been talking about, in that I got to a certain age and was kind of able to reflect on everything. I feel in the past, as I've gotten older, when I'm looking at my younger self, it's the 5 years in between now and the younger version of me that I'm looking at. There's always a 5-year gap, but once I hit 20, it was kind of everything, all of the teen years, all of the preteen years, all of the grade school years, whatever. So this year really I've just been thinking a lot about I shouldn't do that. I realized there are a few episodes where I just kind of do things that are loud and kind of forget that there's a microphone right next to me, so I really can't do that. My last episode, I was squeaking on that fucking chair for so long, and there was no way I knew how to edit that out, and it was pissing me off. So I'm going to actively try not to do that. But I lost my train of thought. But I just kind of want to sit and talk about, I don't know. I feel I revolve around the same subjects so frequently. I feel when I'm doing these podcasts or thinking about an article to write or whatever, it always is very much the same area, and I would like to branch out of that eventually. I think I'm going to do religion for next week, because I think that would be really fun, and that's something that I can 100% go on long spiels about. It's just a matter of if I can keep my brain in the same space for long enough. But the first thing that I wanted to talk about today was something that I don't know. I want to, in the process that I've been in trying to improve is my head in the frame at all? What's a good, hold on. As I'm going through the process of healing myself now, stop saying one of the things that I've been thinking a lot about is how I treat my younger self and younger versions of me, and that I don't want older me to be hard on me, I don't want myself in 5 years to be looking at myself now and forget how much I was trying, because I know I'm not doing everything I can be doing, and I know that there's mistakes that I can make and whatever, but I hope that I can give myself grace going forward, knowing how much I've worked and tried, and that I was doing my best at the time. And that's not something I think I'm very good at with past versions of myself now. Looking at me in high school, looking at me prior to that, I'm very, very mean to myself. And that's something that I want to change, because I have love for myself, I definitely have been working a lot on my own insecurities and the things that make me not like myself as much, and trying to come to peace with the kind of person I am and the kind of person I'm becoming, and giving myself grace now, in that, like, there definitely are two versions of myself. One of which is just very, very hard on the other one. And, like, I want to change that because I know that I am trying. And as I've gotten older and as I've spent more time thinking about my past selves and the stuff that he went through, it's like it's very easy to forget how bad things actually were. I feel like we look back on things and it's really easy to look at it in like a romanticized version of itself. A really good example is my senior year of high school. That like winter senior year, I was in a really, really bad spot. Mentally, socially, physically, like all of it. And when I used to look back at that like period in my life and wish that I could like go back to that, because there's a certain phenomenon with like depressed people that they kind of romanticize their own depression, like their own sadness, in that it's comfortable and it's familiar, and it's like when you're at your lowest, you almost feel like, for me, when I'm at my lowest, I almost feel like I have an excuse to feel low, because sometimes I'll like be really depressed and I'll want to sit in my bed all day and want to do nothing and not contribute anything. But I'm like okay enough that I have that voice in my head telling me to like get up, go make breakfast, go to class, go to work, yada yada yada. But when I'm in a really bad spot, like I don't really have that. Like I just kind of want to like let myself sit in it, and I don't have the energy to do anything, and I don't feel like I need to have the energy to do anything. So I look back at those periods of my life and I'm like, I wish I could go back to that. Like I wish I could go back to not caring, and I wish I could go back to just like the mania of it all. And that's not good. So I took a little like break just to kind of organize my thoughts, because like I want to get in depth. Like I started picking actual topics instead of just like recording a podcast, because I do want to like actually have things to talk about and like not just ramble about random things. And like I think it's fine to do that. Like I don't really care what the podcast feels like. Like I kind of just want, I don't know, I just want to talk about random things. Because it's fun and I do enjoy it. But I'm, like I said, I am very, very hard on myself. So it's hard to like feel like I'm doing a good job. So then I pick these topics and I know I can talk about them, but it's actually so difficult to talk about one thing for an hour. Which is no one's fault but mine. Like I'm doing this to myself for 3 people to watch 10 minutes of an episode. But I don't know. I think that like healing your inner child is, I feel like it's really cheesy, honestly. Like I feel like saying, oh, it's for my inner child, I'm healing my inner child. Like yeah, but like I also do think it is actually like very good. Something that like I've just been thinking about recently, I wonder how many sentences I've started that way, is like, do I even want to talk about this on the podcast? I really don't. Things affect you a lot more and a lot longer than you think they do. And that's something that I've had to like come to terms with recently, because there's certain things when you're getting into like romantic romances that you feel like you need to disclose, and you want to tell them because you want to be on the same page, so that like if anything happens down the line, then they knew and you told them and you did everything that you could. But it's also like the dating scene is so sensitive right now, with like things being red flags, like the therapy lingo, like it is very hard for people to last in relationships. So there's a part of me that like just doesn't I don't want to tell them. Like I would like to make this process as easy as it can go. There is no reason for me to be telling these people such sensitive information about myself just to like maybe I don't know, have a better relationship if it even does come to that point. But the more I try to like continue dating without telling them that, I'm realizing that it is very much something that just needs to be said. And I think that like denying that of yourself, denying that like level of comfortability that you can offer yourself just by them knowing and being on the same page, like it's cruel because it's something that you have been working to get over and move on from. And you know, like nobody wants to bring up sensitive topics. Like it's uncomfortable, it's not fun for either people hearing it or saying it. But like if that is something that genuinely like changes the way you feel about things, changes the way you feel things, like it's important and it's necessary and it sucks and it is unfair and it like there's just no way around it. Because it would be so much better to just kind of put everything on one plate and like present it, and this is what I am, and there's no way around. Like obviously not like little things, like maybe your parents got divorced later in your life and that's something that you've had to get over, but like you don't need to tell them that if you don't want to. I'm talking about things that like directly impact the manner of your relationship. I feel like you have a responsibility to yourself to tell them that if you want to. Tell them that if it still affects you, because not telling them removes the right to like be upset if they do something that affected you but they didn't know. You know, it is always so much better to just be on the same page, and maybe things will work out and maybe things won't, but just having them know where your head is at with certain things can make you feel so much better. And it's kind of that thought process that has led me into why I want to talk about like healing your inner child, and why actually giving yourself the time of day is so important, because I feel like it's kind of ingrained in us not to. Like when we look at the way that society functions, like they kind of, I think a lot of people just kind of expect you to like just keep pushing through, and a lot of the times that's like your only option, and you do kind of have to, because capitalism is an all-consuming entity that will kill every single one of us. But I feel like because of that, we almost ingrain it in ourselves. Like out work, for example, you work 50 hours a week, you're making just above minimum wage, you're fucking exhausted, like you don't want to be doing it anymore, you just want to be able to have one day to like sit and relax and not have a worry in the world, but you just have to keep going because rent is due and bills must be paid and groceries must be bought and you need the fucking money, and you're depressed beyond anyone can imagine, but you just got to keep going. And then we kind of deny ourselves any moments of like self-pity or help, because every single time we bring this problem up, it's kind of reiterated that all we can do is keep moving. You're not allowed to take a break. You're not allowed to, I don't fucking know. You're not allowed to take a break. You're not allowed. You can't feel what you're feeling. It's bad, and it's not going to get you anywhere. So then when we do have like actual complex emotions, we almost tell ourselves without them having to tell us that like, just keep going. Just keep pushing through it. When you don't need to. Like you are allowed to give yourself the time and the energy and whatever else to help yourself. Because who else is going to? Like you genuinely, there is nothing better you can do for yourself in the long run than do the things you don't really want to do now, mentally speaking. Like, it sucks to think about those things, and it sucks to, I don't know, ask for advice, talk about it. Like, nobody wants to do that, but it is so important to just have somewhere to put it. Like, write it down, talk to yourself, make a fucking podcast. Like, it can help your later versions of yourself so much that you, at 20 years old, spent months by yourself just working on how you can feel better. Because life doesn't need to suck as much as it does. Like, I feel like we kind of have all just accepted that, like, life sucks. And this is in complete contrast to one of the points I made, like, 3 episodes ago, where I was saying that accepting that life sucks is one of the best things you can do, because once you stop expecting good things, then the good things feel so much better. And while that is the case, and, like, that's kind of what we have to do, like, life doesn't actually have to suck. You know what I mean? Like, it does if you want to be a functioning member in society and get a job and buy a house and start a family and whatever, but, like, you don't need to make it suck more than that, you know? Like, allow yourself to grieve, allow yourself to feel, allow yourself to cry. Like, these things are not negative, and we just happen to live somewhere that doesn't accept those emotions as real. And it's so foreign to me, because I grew up in a Jewish household. Jewish people, I'm allowed to say this because I experienced it. Jewish people are very, very outspoken about everything but their emotions. So it was a very, like, everyone is very opinionated, but emotions are just not talked about. You're not sad, you're not happy, you're not angry. Like, you're just here. And then on the other side, I grew up with someone who probably has very similar issues to me, or I probably have very similar issues to her. And that household was a very emotionally in tune household. So it was a very, like, I don't know, black and white growing up experience. But then kind of going into the real world and learning that, like, you're just not really supposed to, like, talk about those things. And, like, if you do talk about those things, you're usually, like, fucking applauded for it. Like, if a professor says, like, you don't need to do the homework if you're sad, like, just send me an email and yada yada, like, that is going above and beyond. That shouldn't be going above and beyond. Like, you should be allowed to not do something you chose to do because you don't feel like doing it at that moment. You know? It's so fucked that college, like, we are paying them, right? Like, our money goes, like, the money that professors are getting is, like, coming from our tuition. And it is so crazy that they still have the power in that situation. Like, we are in no reason, shape, or form obligated to be here, you know? But it's just kind of, like, expected that we paid the money, so give it your all. And I guess that's true. I paid the money. I was talking about this in the last podcast. I paid the money, so, like, I'm gonna make the most out of what I spent my money on. But that doesn't mean that, like, I want my entire life to just be school 24/7. It's very unrealistic. Like, when you're in college, you're probably living in an apartment. You have to buy groceries, you have to pay bills, you have to pay rent. Like, meaning you probably also need to have a job, unless you're 99% of fucking Americans whose mommies and daddies pay for their college tuition. No tea, no shade. But, like, you have other things going on in your life. Like, you want to socialize, you have to work, you want to be able to hang out. Like, I feel like things in this world are so outdated, but, like, no one's willing to actually change it. And I think, like, that's why, like, gender is such a controversial topic, because it's been the same way for so long for Western cultures that, I mean, white Western cultures, I guess, because Native Americans definitely know that gender is fucking fake. What is it called? Two-spirit? Twin spirit? I remember reading an article a while. Anyway. But that's why gender is such a controversial topic, because it's been the same way for so long that, like, now that it's being brought up into question, like, everyone is losing their fucking minds. But, like, college is such an old thing. And the fact that we're still doing it the exact same way, like, I just don't feel like there's a need to do it the way we do it anymore. Like, I don't really know what my actual issue with it is, but it definitely just feels like things are not as necessary as maybe they used to be. Like, writing the essays and doing the readings and whatever. Like, I can get this information on Google, you know? Like, I feel like we're in a time in which I feel like we need to start updating shit, because it just isn't feeling... I'm not feeling as obligated as I feel like they think I should be. Does that make sense? Like, why would I not cheat? You know? And, like, I don't want to be paying all this money just to, like, cheat through it. But, like, we can do that now. So why not? Like, why not make it easier on myself? Why not stress myself out a little less? Oh my god, I'm so stressed. So, my job right now is a student job, like the jobs that the school itself offers their students, which is, like, great and fun and fine. I get to do my homework on shift because there's very rarely anything to do. But I make minimum wage. I'm very bored. I know that I need to be start working in the direction of, like, my career, like getting an internship, getting an actual job, like whatever. So I'm beginning to put pressure on myself to, like, find a job and quit, because I do want to quit and I want a real job and I want a little bit more money. But, like, how will I have the time? I'm so stressed about my schedule next semester. They're, like, all classes that I actually need to take at some point. And some of them I definitely jumped a few semesters, like, before I needed to take them. But, like, I don't really know the right way to make the schedule. Like, I don't know how they're expecting us to do it. So I'm very confused every time as to, like, am I supposed to just be, like, picking, like, they have the, like, all the required classes in, like, a list, in, like, what semester we'll probably be taking them and yada yada yada. And, like, I know sometimes you need, what is it called? Not extracurricular. The classes that aren't required. Elective. Sometimes you need an elective class, but, like, if it's telling me that I need to take this class and this class and this class and this class, I'm going to take those classes. Like, why would I add different classes that aren't necessary? You know what I mean? But, like, now I'm at a spot where my schedule is going to be so fucking busy. And, like, in a way that I don't feel like is very fun. Like, last first semester, I was very excited to come back to school because I had 2 days that were in Tempe, 2 days that were downtown, and then I had, like, 1 day off. And then, like, those days downtown were pretty easy, and those days in Tempe are, like, also easy, and then I could throw shifts in whenever I had free time. But now my schedule is so, like, I have 1 day that I literally have classes from, like, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. And I'm sure I'll survive, but, like, A, when am I going to have downtime? B, when am I going to have time to do a shift? Like, when am I going to have time to work? And now I have this extra concern of, like, when am I going to have time to do homework? Because for the past 2 semesters, I've been a lot less stressed school-wise because I can do my homework in class. Or not in class, at work. Like, I can just fit these 2 things that need to be done in the same slot. So then, like, I don't have to get off work and go do homework. I can just go home and chop it up with my roommates. So now I'm like, how the fuck am I going to be able to manage? Like, I'm not good at managing those like two things at once. I don't know how to mentally handle having a job and having class, because class in and of itself is hard enough for me to encourage myself to go to. So then having class and then also work probably in the same day, like that's just a lot. That's a lot for me. And I know that there are people who can do it. I know that like some people are managing. I don't know how I will, because I was able to manage this job for so long because it was easy. Like I wasn't doing anything. But like, what am I going to do when my shifts are no longer 4 hours long and I can't just do homework and I actually have like a job to do when I show up? Like, oh my God, it's just going to be so much. And I'm just so excited to be done. But I'm also not, because I have recently begun to get very, very stressed about the idea of like, I'm just going to have to graduate and like get a job and start my adulthood. That's just what's going to happen. And like, it's already hard enough to find a job now, let alone like without any kind of like, I don't know, backup. It's whatever. I can't see what time we're at. That's concerning. What time is it? It's 4:05. I got a little off topic from the healing your inner child thing, but I think I talked enough about it. I'm gonna get into media. So, media of the week. I'm still reading Lolita. I just got Circe, and Kate just bought a book by Ottessa Moshfegh, which, if you read my blog over the summer last year, My Year of Rest and Relaxation was one of like my favorite books that I read that summer. It was also by Ottessa Moshfegh, so I'm definitely going to be borrowing that from her when she's done reading it, because I genuinely like, I'm not very educated when it comes to like literature. Like I love reading and writing and poems, and like I love literature, but I don't know like the technical shit or whatever. So it says a lot when I really love the writing style of a specific author, because like I don't really know that much to actually like inform that decision or like differentiate. I really hope you can't hear that. That's so fucking annoying. To like differentiate good from bad authors, but like the way Ottessa Moshfegh writes, like she gives there's such specific details that like frame the way you perceive. Like, reading My Year of Rest and Relaxation, there was not a single time where like the way I was picturing it wasn't, I think, how she wanted me to. You know? Like there's always, when like books get turned to movies or whatever, there's always the debate of like, that's not what I thought she would look like. I have not a doubt in my mind that if there was a movie based off of My Year of Rest and Relaxation, every single person who read that book like would have the exact same idea of like what her and her friend and her apartment and, you know, whatever, the bodega would look like. Anyway, really love her writing. Also really, really love, what is his name? Vladimir Nabokov, who wrote Lolita. I haven't read any of his other books, and I don't know if I'm ever going to. I know there was one, I can't remember what it's called, that I just saw. I can't remember if it was in a movie, but there's a good chance it was in a Kodiko video. Anyway, very much really love his writing style also. He's a really weird author because he was born and raised in Russia and speaks Russian, and I think taught himself English, or like was taught English. If the book isn't translated, I really don't know. I think it's just English, but like you can tell that some of the words are very like directly translated, or like, I don't know, the way he's writing, like you can almost tell he's foreign in the way that he describes things. Is that an offensive thing to say, saying someone is foreign? You can tell English is not his first language. but it's so beautiful, and it's so, like, for such a fucked up book, it's very enjoyable to read. Same to say for Andre Eisman, or however you pronounce it, the guy who wrote Call Me By Your Name and what is it called? Find Me. Beautifully written books. Find Me, I didn't even fucking like, and I loved that book. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't like the story, but, like, the book itself was so pretty that I read every single word. So yeah, those are the books I'm reading. I just watched Assassination Nation, which with Kate last night, I think it was. That movie is actually fucking life-changing. I don't know how this is the first time I've seen it. I heard of it a few times because Sam Levinson directed it. So, like, I was familiar, and I knew, like, Maude Apatow was in it, and Bella Thorne, like, there's that one. I've seen that video of her, like, dancing in the cheerleading scene, like, so many times. I'd heard of it, but, like, I never really had that, like, desire to actually watch it. It seemed kind of just, like, I don't know, one of those weird, like, 2018, it felt very Spring Breakers, but it was not. It was so fucking cunt. It was made in 2018, which I feel like is early to have a trans main character or trans protagonist, and she wasn't really the main character, but, like, it surrounded the four main girls, and she was one of them, which I just feel like was really cool. And I loved the way that they portrayed the girls' friendship. Was so genuine and real to some of, like, the interactions and, like, relationships that I've had or have seen girls have. Obviously, like, girl friendship is something that no amount of gay will ever get me to be a part of, and that makes me so fucking sad. I would love to have the kind of friendship that girls have with each other with a guy. Like, I love having guy friends, but it's so hard to find guys to be friends with. A, I make guys uncomfortable as fuck. B, guys make me uncomfortable as fuck. C, most gay men that you meet want to fuck. So it's just, like, it's hard. Anyway, amazing movie. Like, actually. And songs I've kind of been listening to the same ones that I was talking about last week. Still, She Won't Go Away by Faye Webster is, like, every single day. Forrest Gump by Frank Ocean I've been listening to a lot recently, which I just, for the first time, like, actually sat and, like, read the lyrics. The song's, like, sad. Like, I know it's sad, but, like, I didn't realize it was, like, actually sad. It's, like, sad. Liquid Smooth by Mitski. So good. There's another song by Mitski that I've been listening to a lot. Once More to See You. And Me and My Husband, actually, have been every day, like, when I'm getting in the shower, those 5 are cued immediately. Still listening to King Kunta a lot. Although, someone messaged me on Grindr and was like, King Kunta being your anthem is so fucking funny to me. And I was like, yeah, haha, like, it's definitely not made for me, but, like, I love Kendrick Lamar, so it's just, like, a really good song. And he was like, yeah, wanna fuck? It was just, like, so weird, and now I can't really think about the song the same way. I don't know. White guilt's crazy. Thank you for watching. I hope you all enjoyed the episode. I think this episode was shorter, which I was kind of intending it to, because the last few episodes have run over an hour. And I kind of want to play in, like, the 45-minute area. So I'm hoping... This would be really funny if I said that and I turn this video off and it's, like, 25 minutes. Anyway, I love you all. Thank you for watching. Make sure to check out the website. I just published a new article talking about some of the recent controversies around, like, minorities being seen, period, but, like, in media. So I talked about, like, Halle Bailey and... I don't know, Scarlett Johansson. Anyway, make sure to check that out. New articles come out on Sundays. New videos come out Monday, although I think this one might come out Tuesday, just because filming and editing in one night is kind of a lot, but I'm gonna smoke and shower and we'll see where I'm at. Yeah, okay.